Hello, I'm Dr. Yumi Introduction, and I've spent over 2 decades studying the intersection of nutrition, aging, and metabolic health. Through my research and clinical practice, I've seen how the right dietary choices can dramatically impact not just blood sugar control, but overall longevity and quality of life, especially for those over 50. Today, I want to share something crucial with you that could change how you manage your diabetes. If you're over 50 and dealing with diabetes, what I'm about to share could be the difference between managing your condition and making it worse without even knowing it. There are 7 common foods that millions of diabetics eat daily, believing they're making healthy choices, when in reality these foods are sabotaging their blood sugar control and accelerating complications. The truth is, conventional diabetes advice often focuses on obvious culprits like candy and soda, but completely ignores foods that appear healthy yet cause devastating blood sugar spikes, increase insulin resistance, and accelerate the aging process in ways that can be irreversible after 50. What makes this particularly dangerous for people over 50 is that your metabolism has already started to slow down. Your insulin sensitivity is naturally declining, and your body's ability to recover from blood sugar damage is significantly reduced compared to younger adults. This means foods that might cause minor issues in can create serious complications in someone over 50. Today, I'm going to reveal the 7 foods that are secretly destroying your blood sugar control, explain exactly why they're so dangerous for diabetics over 50, and give you science-based alternatives that can actually help reverse insulin resistance rather than worsen it. The first food that's sabotaging your diabetes control is breakfast cereal, even the ones marketed as healthy or diabetic-friendly. Here's what the food industry doesn't want you to know. Most breakfast cereals, including those labeled as whole grain or high fiber, contain processed grains that have been stripped of their natural structure and turned into rapidly digestible starches. When you eat these processed grains, they behave almost identically to pure sugar in your bloodstream. The glycemic index of many popular cereals is actually higher than white bread, causing massive blood sugar spikes within 30 minutes of consumption. For someone over 50 with diabetes, this creates a cascade of problems. First, these dramatic blood sugar spikes require massive insulin responses, which over time leads to increased insulin resistance. Second, the rapid rise and fall of blood glucose creates inflammation throughout your body, particularly in your blood vessels and organ. Third, this inflammation accelerates what's called glycation, where excess sugar molecules attach to proteins in your body, creating advanced glycation end products that damage your arteries, kidneys, and nervous system. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people over 50 who regularly consumed processed breakfast cereals had 23% higher levels of inflammatory markers and 18% worse insulin sensitivity compared to those who ate whole food breakfast. The researchers followed participants for 5 years and found that cereal consumption was directly linked to faster progression of diabetic complications. The second dangerous food is fruit juice, even 100% pure fruit juice with no added sugar. This might surprise you because fruit juice is often recommended as a healthy choice, but for diabetics over 50, it's essentially liquid sugar that bypasses all of your body's natural satiety mechanisms. When you eat whole fruit, the fiber, pulp, and cellular structure slow down sugar absorption and help regulate blood glucose response. But when fruit is juiced, all of these protective elements are removed, leaving behind a concentrated sugar solution that hits your bloodstream faster than a candy bar. Here's the critical difference for people over 50. Your liver's ability to process fructose efficiently declines with age. When you consume large amounts of fructose from fruit juice, your liver becomes overwhelmed and starts converting that fructose directly into fat, particularly around your midsection. This visceral fat then releases inflammatory compounds that worsen insulin resistance. Research from Harvard's School of Public Health followed 76,000 women for 18 years and found that those who consumed fruit juice daily had a 21% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to those who drank it less than once per month. More importantly, among those who already had diabetes, regular fruit juice consumption was associated with faster progression to insulin dependence and higher rates of cardiovascular complications. The third food that's destroying your blood sugar control is white rice, including jasmine rice, basmati rice, and instant rice varieties. Rice might seem harmless, especially in smaller portions, but for diabetics over 50, rice presents multiple metabolic challenges that younger people can often handle better. White rice has a glycemic index between 70 and 90, which means it raises blood sugar almost as quickly as pure glucose. But the problem goes deeper than just the immediate blood sugar spike. Rice consumption, particularly in larger portions, creates what researchers call glucose toxicity, where persistently elevated blood sugar levels damage the insulin-producing cells in your pancreas. After age 50, your pancreatic function naturally begins to decline. You produce less insulin, and the insulin you do produce becomes less effective. When you regularly consume high glycemic foods like white rice, you're forcing your already stressed pancreas to work overtime, accelerating its deterioration. A comprehensive study, published in the British Medical Journal, analyzed data from over 350,000 people across multiple countries and found that higher white rice consumption was associated with significantly increased diabetes risk, with the effect being most pronounced in people over 50. The researchers calculated that each serving of white rice per day increased diabetes risk by 11%, but in adults over 50, this risk jumped to 17% per serving. The fourth food that's sabotaging your diabetes management is low-fat yogurt, particularly flavored varieties marketed as healthy snacks. The problem with most commercial yogurts isn't just the obvious added sugars, it's the combination of artificial sweeteners, thickening agents, and processing methods that create unexpected blood sugar responses. Many diabetic-friendly yogurts contain artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, or aspartame potassium. While these don't directly raise blood glucose, emerging research shows they can alter your gut microbiome in ways that worsen insulin resistance over time. This is particularly problematic for people over 50, because your gut health naturally declines with age, and you're more susceptible to these microbiome disruptions. Additionally, most commercial yogurts undergo high-heat pasteurization that destroys beneficial bacteria, then have selected probiotic strains added back in. These reconstituted probiotics are often not as effective as the natural bacterial communities found in traditionally fermented dairy products. A study in the journal Nature followed 400 people with prediabetes for 2 years and found that those who consumed artificial sweeteners daily, primarily through products like diet yogurt and sugar-free foods, were 67% more likely to progress to full diabetes compared to those who avoided artificial sweeteners entirely. The effect was most pronounced in participants over 50. The fifth dangerous food is whole wheat bread, even the varieties marketed as diabetes-friendly or made with ancient grains. This recommendation often shocks people because whole wheat bread is universally promoted as a healthy choice. But the reality is that modern wheat processing creates products that behave very differently in your body than traditional bread. Modern wheat flour, even when it's whole grain, is milled to an extremely fine powder that's rapidly digested and absorbed. This fine milling breaks down the grain structure that would normally slow digestion, creating what's essentially a fast lysine carbohydrate that causes significant blood sugar spikes. Furthermore, modern wheat contains higher levels of a protein called amylase. When you combine this with the fact that most commercial bread contains additional ingredients like dough conditioners, preservatives, and sometimes even hidden sugars, you end up with a product that can spike blood sugar as quickly as white bread. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition compared the blood sugar responses of people eating traditional sourdough bread versus modern whole wheat bread. The sourdough, which undergoes a longer fermentation process that breaks down some of the starches and creates beneficial acids, resulted in 25% lower blood sugar spikes and 30% better insulin sensitivity compared to whole wheat bread. For people over 50 with diabetes, this difference becomes crucial because your body's ability to handle rapid glucose fluctuations is already compromised. The constant blood sugar roller coaster from foods like whole wheat bread contributes to what's called glucose variation, which is independently associated with diabetic complications even when average blood sugar levels appear controlled. The sixth food that's undermining your diabetes management is bananas, particularly ripe bananas that are often recommended as a healthy snack or pre-workout food. While bananas do contain beneficial nutrients like potassium and vitamin B6, their impact on blood sugar in diabetics over 50 can be problematic. A medium banana contains approximately 27 grams of carbohydrates, with about 14 grams coming from sugar. But the real issue is the type of sugar and how it changes as the banana ripens. As bananas ripen, their starch content converts to simple sugars, primarily glucose and fructose, making them increasingly problematic for blood sugar control. The glycemic index of a banana ranges from 51 for green bananas to over 80 for very ripe bananas. For someone over 50 with diabetes, this means that a ripe banana can cause a blood sugar spike comparable to eating a small candy bar, but without the obvious warning that you're consuming something potentially harmful. Additionally, bananas are often eaten alone as a snack, without protein or healthy fats that could help moderate the blood sugar response. This leads to rapid absorption and the classic blood sugar spike, followed by a crash that leaves you feeling hungry and craving more carbohydrates. A study published in Nutrition and Metabolism tracked blood glucose responses in diabetic adults after consuming various fruits. Bananas, particularly when eaten alone, produce the highest and most sustained blood glucose elevations, with participants over 50 showing 40% higher peak glucose levels compared to younger adults eating the same portion. The seventh and perhaps most surprising food that's sabotaging your diabetes control is oatmeal, including steel-cut oats and other varieties often recommended for diabetics. Oatmeal has developed a reputation as a diabetes-friendly food because of its fiber content and heart healthy properties, but the reality is more complex, especially for people over 50. While oatmeal does contain soluble fiber that can help with cholesterol, it's also a concentrated source of carbohydrates that can cause significant blood sugar elevation. A typical serving of oatmeal contains 30 to 35 grams of carbohydrates, and even steel-cut oats have a glycemic index in the moderate range that can be problematic for blood sugar control. The bigger issue is portion size and preparation method. Most people consume much larger portions of oatmeal than the standard serving size, and often add fruits, honey, or other sweeteners that compound the blood sugar impact. Additionally, instant oatmeal has been processed in ways that make it digest more rapidly than less processed varieties. What makes oatmeal particularly challenging for people over 50 is timing. Oatmeal is most commonly eaten at breakfast, when your body's cortisol levels are naturally highest. Cortisol raises blood sugar, and when you combine this natural morning blood sugar elevation with a carbohydrate-heavy breakfast like oatmeal, you can create blood sugar spikes that persist throughout the morning and set you up for poor glucose control for the entire day. Research published in the Journal of Nutrition and Diabetes found that diabetic adults over 50 who ate oatmeal for breakfast had significantly higher post-meal glucose levels and required more medication adjustments compared to those who ate protein-based breakfasts. The study also found that morning oatmeal consumption was associated with increased hunger and carbohydrate cravings later in the day. Now that you understand which foods are sabotaging your blood sugar control, let me give you a practical framework for making better choices. The key principle for diabetics over 50 is to focus on foods that provide steady energy without causing dramatic blood sugar fluctuations. Instead of breakfast cereals, choose protein-rich options like eggs with vegetables, Greek yogurt with nuts and seeds, or avocado with a small amount of berries. These combinations provide sustained energy while supporting stable blood glucose. Replace fruit juices with whole fruits eaten with protein or healthy fats. If you enjoy citrus, eat orange segments with a handful of almonds rather than drinking orange juice. The fiber and protein will slow absorption and prevent blood sugar spikes. For rice alternatives, consider cauliflower rice, shirataki rice, or small portions of wild rice combined with plenty of vegetables and protein. These options provide satisfaction and nutrition without the dramatic blood sugar impact. Instead of commercial yogurt, try full-fat plain Greek yogurt with a small amount of fresh berries and nuts. The higher protein and fat content will help stabilize blood sugar while providing beneficial probiotics. Replace bread with lettuce wraps, portobello mushroom caps, or small amounts of true sourdough bread that's been fermented for at least 24 hours. These alternatives provide the satisfaction of bread without the blood sugar chaos. For banana alternatives, choose berries, which are lower in sugar and higher in fiber, and blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries can satisfy fruit cravings while supporting rather than undermining blood sugar control. Finally, instead of oatmeal, Try chia seed pudding made with unsweetened almond milk or a vegetable and protein scramble. These options provide morning nutrition and energy without setting you up for blood sugar instability throughout the day. The most important thing to remember is that managing diabetes after 50 requires a different approach than general healthy eating advice. Your body's changing metabolism, reduced insulin sensitivity, and decreased resilience to blood sugar fluctuations mean that foods considered healthy for the general population may be harmful for you. By eliminating these 7 problematic foods and replacing them with blood sugar-friendly alternatives, you're not just managing your diabetes, you're giving your body the best chance to maintain stable energy, reduce inflammation, and prevent the accelerated aging that uncontrolled blood sugar can cause. Start by eliminating 1 or 2 of these foods this week and monitoring how you feel. Most people notice improved energy, reduced cravings, and better mood stability within just a few days of making these changes. Your blood sugar readings should also become more predictable and easier to manage. Remember, the goal isn't perfect blood sugar control overnight, but consistent improvement over time. Small changes in your food choices can create dramatic improvements in how you feel and how well your body ages. If this information has been helpful, please share it with others who might benefit, and subscribe to Longevity Lab for more evidence-based strategies for healthy aging.